Welcome back to Dubsy Bricks for another episode of Building Gotham City in Lego, and this is another vehicle update. So far we have made a vehicle for Two-Face, and we've also got our Batmobile. I put a poll out on the channel a few weeks ago, and the most popular character for the next vehicle to be for was the Penguin. And I've got here set number 70911, the Penguins Artic Roller. So I thought I'll just make this up to start with, see if it gives me some ideas and inspiration for a vehicle for him. And then we'll take it from there. I do really like the look of this car. I think it's so cool with the larger front wheels and the double wheels at the back. But yeah, let's make it up and see what it's like. Here we have it, the Penguins Artic Roller. It was a fun build, took about half an hour to put together, and no special techniques on there, but all in all, really pleased with it. It's 8 studs in width, lengthwise is really long. If I compare it to my Two-Face vehicle here that I've made, and I'm already thinking this is a little bit too long for the city, and obviously you can see there it's probably about another 6 studs longer. Now it is very tall in height for the car, and the reason for that is the Penguin needs to stand up. So there's a couple of jumper plates in there. Because of his short legs, you can't put him in the sitting down position, so yeah, he has to stand up inside the car. Now that's one thing I'm going to have to take into account when we start making our own custom vehicle. There are a pair of stud shooters on the front there, and you just press down on this part here and that fires them out. There's a cog inside, which is what's pushing down on the actual missiles to fire them out. On the back here, you have an opening boot, and there's a little mini vehicle inside there. So that's all really cool. Nice little feature there. But the one thing I love about this is the little penguin on the front of the car there, and that's what I'm definitely going to be putting on my own custom penguin vehicle. And here we have the penguin minifigure, and he's such a cool looking figure. I love the print on the front. There is no printing on the back, and he has just got the one expression on there, and it comes complete with umbrella. So yeah, really nice minifigure. I have got a couple of the penguin minifigures for Gotham City, which is really good, so we can have him in more than one place. But yeah, overall, couldn't be happier with this figure. And the second minifigure in the set is Batman, and this is the same minifigure you get in all of the Batman Lego movie sets. So it's a nice little figure. He's got 2 different expressions on his head. You've got the normal facial expression just there, and then we've got the alternate look. So anyway, let's start thinking about ideas for what we're going to make our car look like. I am quite liking the 4 wheels at the back. I think having a 6-wheeler would be pretty good. As I said, this is way too big, so we need to shrink it down as much as possible. So let's get the thinking cap on and see what we can come up with. And I've decided that I'm going to use the pieces from the Arctic Roller along with a couple of other bits and bobs. But what I'm thinking about doing is using the BMW wheels like I've got here and then putting a gold disc over the front of them. I really do like this colour for the wheel. However, I'm not that keen on the actual style of these. So we'll just have a little bit of a play and see what we can come up with. But the sort of vehicle that I'm thinking about going for is a hot rod sort of car. I think it'd be nice and small, which is what I'm after with the build. And I think it look quite cool for the Penguin. So let's start off by trying to get an idea of how we're going to shape the rear of the car, and I'll check back in once I've done so. And here we have the rear of the vehicle, and I'm loving the size of it, nice and compact. The only problem is when you stick the Penguin in there, he's obviously got to stand up, and it doesn't look too bad actually from the side, but if I could just go one plate lower down, it would be better. So I'm just going to see what I can do on the bottom of this just to lower those, to lower it down if I can. Obviously, I want to make sure that this is still nice and sturdy. So let's start experimenting with that and see what we can come up with. And I think I've come up with a solution for the Penguins minifigure standing in the car. So we've got rid of the 2x12 plate, and I've replaced it here by a 2.6. So only stud connection are the two studs just there. Now the rear wheels, they're actually attached to the wheel arches just there. And they're now connected onto a 1x2 plate there and there. I've then got another 1x2 on top of a 2.4, and then that clips together on there, so that's helping to keep that all supported. And then inside I've put these curved slopes to press it the opposite way, so that's now made it nice and strong, so that's all good. The front is also kept in place using a couple of brackets on the side that are helping with the sides, and then these 2x2 L-shaped bricks are also compressing that all together. So let's put the wheels on there, stand the figure in, and we can see how it looks. And there we have the Penguin in the car and at the perfect height. So that's all worked out really well. The only problem you have is obviously with the hat being so tall, I think it's going to have to be another convertible for Gotham City. So now let's work on the front end of the car. And I've got to decide whether or not I want to have it open wheeled or whether or not we want to have the wheel arches on there. I'm thinking open wheel would be quite nice if I'm going to keep it down the kind of hot rod look that I'm after. But yeah, we'll experiment with it and see what we can come up with. And we have a little bit of progress to the front of the vehicle. Love the Penguin. I think he's so cool on the front of any car. But I think the spotlights are just that little bit too big for this size car. And again, the front of that just looks so ugly at the moment. I quite like this bit here. And I've got the attempt at an exhaust at the side there as well. And what I was contemplating doing was putting some plates on the bottom here, which are the ones that have got studs on half of it and then tiles on the other. They're a 2x2 plate. I think that'll just give it a nice finish on there. But yeah, we'll carry on experimenting and see what we can come up with. But let's strip the front end down and see if we can come up with something better. And it's taken several hours to get the front end relatively how I want it to be. I'm not 100% convinced by this section here. Originally I had it so that I didn't have these parts on here, if I can just strip them off, and I think I just had a grill piece over there. However, I thought it just looked a little bit better with that part, so let me show you what it was before. So yeah, I had it like that previously, but then it's changed over to do it like so. So I think I will leave it with these parts on there for the time being, unless I can come up with another design that I think looks a little bit better. But yeah, it's nice to have as many details on as possible. We've got the guns there which are acting as exhaust, and I tried to utilise all of the orange parts that I had in the set just to give it that more Penguin feel to it. But size-wise, it's a lot better than Two Faces' car. I think it's a much more, keeping it nice and compact is going to look better around Gotham City. And yet further revisions to the front of the vehicle here, and I've managed to find out the curved slopes here. They go on the corner, so they go nicely round the whole front end of the car there. And I think it's much tidier having it this way. I much prefer it to the original version. Now, when I first had the vision of a hot rod, I was thinking more along the lines of this Lego set here. However, I quite like to have the engine enclosed within the car, so hence I've gone for this look. So I've still got the open front wheels, but a more tidy look to the vehicle. Now, I will be making more vehicles for the Penguin, such as a rubber duck, for him to cause chaos, both on the water and on land, as you see in the Batman Return film. But yeah, really happy with how this has come out for the first attempt. I'm sure I'll tweak it again in the future, but for now, really happy with it. Anyway, that's all we have time for. Hope you've enjoyed the update. If you have, please remember to give us a big thumbs up. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future content on the channel. And if you know anybody else you think would be interested in building Gotham City in Lego, if you could share the channel with them, it'd be much appreciated. Anyway, thanks for hopping on by. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.